Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and today you're all going to look and think, Dale Ginn, Aston, you only spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. You're right, but that was on gold. Today, they've come out with their maiden mineral resource for their nickel, and I've got to tell you, this is massive. And so I reached out to Dale, asked him to come back on because I want to talk through the numbers, which quite frankly seem ridiculous. So, Dale, welcome back. As if you haven't done enough with the gold, which you got some great results on the maiden resource for the gold, but now the nickel almost seems to be dwarfing that. So, for those people that don't know who Aston are, let's give us a brief overview on Aston, and then we're going to go into this maiden mineral resource, today's announcement.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, Aston is, we started as a gold explorer and in just south of Timmins, Ontario, some major mining camp in the heart of Canada. And we were originally exploring on a deposit called Edleston, and we're doing quite well. We actually did so well that we put its maiden resource out just a few, maybe a month or two ago. And, that was 1.5 million ounces, which looks like it has a lot of room to expand eastward. And, but on the way to as we were drilling the gold, our geology led us to a large nickel deposit once we moved into the proper geology. So we spent the last, say, 14, 15 months drilling this large kind of boomerang shaped nickel deposit. And that's, where the bulk of our effort has been in the last while. And we produced our maiden mineral resource on it. And the numbers are quite good. They can range I guess, we're very happy. So the numbers can range depending on what cutoff grades you use, but it's somewhere in, like, you could pick 1 billion tons at a 0.3 nickel equivalent, or 500 million tons at a 0.32. Now there's a little bit of cobalt in there. There's about just under 10% of that's cobalt, but people have a hard time relating sometimes to nickel grades. So yeah, basically the 0.3 is equivalent to 1% copper. So effectively, you'd be a lot more recognizable if you had 1 billion tons of 1% copper. But what we do have is 1 billion tons, 0.3, and this could support, and this is from a resource, so we're not into feasibilities or anything yet. That's all to come. But this could support effectively the largest nickel producer and cobalt in North America.
All right. This sounds like it's pretty big. I think once before you said to me, I'm just a simple geologist. From a simple geologist viewpoint, are you pretty excited? How does this compare with other nickel deposits around the world?
Well, the scale is incredible. So most of the production in Canada that's ongoing now, like from Sudbury, Thompson, Voisey Bay, they come from multiple deposits, especially Sudbury, and they're higher grade, but they're deep, and they're getting deeper because they're mature. They've been around for a while. This starts at surface. It looks to be effectively a massive super pit. The dimensions of the pit will be like 5 kilometers long. So wow. This just the scale of it, and the fact that this is all in one deposit is really what sets it apart. Now the other massive factor that sets it apart, because it is considered a lowish grade nickel deposit, is that it's recoverable in a standard circuit. So the metallurgy is such that the nickel is hosted in the sulphides. And when I say sulphides, I mean high tenor sulphides that float easily and, you know, will recover at a reasonable rate without having to invent some kind of another circuit. And that's, so you've got the scale, you've got the fact that it's in one single deposit, and the fact that it's a sulfide hosted deposit that recovers in a normal sense.
But you also said it's from, so I'm looking at this from a number of ways. From our audience's point of view, you're saying this is potentially one of the largest nickel deposits, but I think more importantly, you said it's from surface, and some of those other ones like Sudbury are quite deep. So does that mean from a cost perspective, this potentially, and it's early days, ladies and gentlemen, early days, but it's proving to be quite big because it's at surface? Does that bring the costs, the recovery cost down? And because it's hosted in sulfides, does that also bring the recovery cost down?
Yes, I mean, it's a bulk mine, right? So you're mining volume.
Yeah.
And so your costs are going to be quite low on rock that's in the range of, you know, $80-85 per ton. So you're likely, you know, able to make $60-ish per ton on this rock. And, you know, we all know where we think nickel and cobalt prices are heading as the demand moves up. So
no, tell us, Dale. I don't know. Give us the bigger picture while we're chatting about costs. And
well, as I said, I'm not a macro economist or anything, but all I know is there is a shortage of what strategic metals are going to be required for the electrification of of everyone, and
the world.
They're just, the demand far exceeds the amount of mines and discoveries that are coming along. I mean, that's just common sense, because, you know, generally discoveries and mines take 5, 10, 20 years to develop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Demand for the nickel and the lithium and the cobalt, that's within the next 5 years. So right. You can see where the squeeze is going to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this deposit is so strategic because it's located in the heart of Canada's mining country. Mm-hmm. So people will want their strategic metals, but they'll also want it from safe jurisdictions. They're going to want it from jurisdictions that treat their employees well, and from governments that are stable and not, you know, going to demand a piece of it or change the tax laws or the ownership laws. So yeah, you want this, this is long-term investment, and you want this to come from a stable jurisdiction that you can depend on. And really, it doesn't get any more stable than Canada and I suppose Australia.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you mentioned that one as well. Look, let's just go back to this maiden mineral resource. Give us some of the numbers, and then I want to find out what the next steps are. So it's big, sure, but give us some of the numbers that have come out with this announcement. Yeah, so
the it plots on, and you'll see this in the press release, but it plots on a tonnage grade curve. So there's a couple of points you can pick. Our preferred points, if you will, are around just under 500 million tons at a 0.32 nickel equivalent. Mm-hmm. Some may prefer a billion tons at 0.3, but that's kind of the range I think you want to be in. And
why is that? Sorry to interrupt you, Dale. Why is that the range you want to be in?
Well, as you go up in grade, the tonnage will drop.
Yep.
And as you go down in grade, the tonnage goes to ridiculous amounts, like 1.7 billion tons at a 0.26 nickel equivalent. So it's a choice. And once, more definition drilling and whatnot and engineering comes into play, that'll be settled. But those are the ranges that it has right now. And the other thing is where the tonnage grade curve crosses, that's where we get the 500 billion to 1 billion ton range at 0.3 to 0.32. So it seems like a logical area to be in.
So this is a big deposit. Your market cap at the moment is about 100 mil, but the numbers that you were just talking about seem ridiculous in comparison to your market cap. I guess my question is, do you think the market has cottoned on to what you've got? Will this change the market's perception of Aston?
I think it will absolutely change the market's perception. I think it has to. I know that the corporates and the people who know the business, they'll know right away whether the general market, catches on quite as quick. I don't know, because it surprised me in the past, but I think it will. I think it has to. And going forward, the cards are still in our hands, right? So we have full control on a billion-ton nickel asset and a 1.5 million ounce gold asset.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Both of which can grow. This is first stab at a resource calc on both fronts. So I think we're in possession of something really special, and it'll have like the nickel deposit is big enough to have an impact on a country as a whole, as far as Canada goes. That's how big this is.
Has the Canadian government picked up on what you're doing? Because it is a big deposit, possibly bigger than you thought, Dale, and I want to know whether the government's cottoned on to what you've got your hands on there.
I think we were trying to, when you do these resource calculations, you're trying to be conservative and you're trying to hold your expectations back somewhat. In my experience, most resource calculations tend to be a little bit disappointing sometimes, and this one was not. This one, it exceeded our expectations for sure.
It exceeded your expectations. Dale, I want to know whether you're, because ladies and gentlemen, Dale is a very considered person, but I just want to find out, is this exciting for you, Dale, as someone who's a geologist that's been in this industry for a long time? Give me on a 1 to 10 scale what you reckon this deposit in your career.
Well, it's 10 plus, really. Like, how do you not get excited over one of the largest nickel finds ever, really? And we stuck with it. Lots of people told us, low-grade nickel deposits don't work. They're not recoverable.
Yeah.
Won't hold together. We've heard a lot of which is, just the typical, skeptical kind of view that most people have on new resource developments, right? But we kept at it, and we brought it along quickly too. I think, most of these types of deposits, they won't have a resource on them for a number of years from a discovery from a discovery start point, right? This is from last 14, 15 months ago. So this is very, very quick.
How come yours is so quick and others take so much longer?
Well, we're aggressive. We're small. Okay. We're aggressive. we can move very quickly. We don't have any layers. I mean, you've seen our board. There's no layers in this company.
Okay.
We just figure out what we're going to do, and then we just do it. It's simple as that.
Okay, so this is a big deposit, potentially, I'm saying, the third largest in the world, which is going to have some eyeballs on it. Where do you go from here? What's next? Like, the audience out there is going to be saying, okay, it's large, it's close to surface, it's low grade, but as you said before, 0.32 is equivalent to 1% copper, which, by the way, 1% copper would be considered fabulous.
Exactly.
Where do you go from here? What's next? I want to know, where's the value add steps as we go down the path of this massive deposit?
Well, we have choices, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of choices to make in the next while, but we can hire a team that has developed this size of a deposit before and financed it. We absolutely have that option, and I know we're already kind of working on that. There's the option of bringing in a strategic partner, like a very large base metal producer that brings the expertise, some of the financing. That's another option. Another is kind of almost an outright sale with us retaining a portion. So those are probably your top three options. But the beauty is, we have a tight shareholder base.
Yep.
And therefore we can control our own destiny in this one.
Talk to me about the tight shareholder base and why you just said that you can control your own destiny, because that was going to be a question of mine, is couldn't someone just come in and go, okay, now they've shown us what they've got, let's just grab it?
Well, there's nothing stopping someone from going in the market and buying until they have to announce their intention. Nothing stopping, but given Tolga's and Tolga's large shareholding and the funds that we do have in, it won't be an easy task to just
okay
at these price levels to just make a takeover bid.
Right. So going back to my question, where to from here? I mean, I know you're excited about the announcement today, but where do you go from? What's the next steps? You said to me you're going to change the team to potentially bring in more of a development rather than exploration. So have you explored enough and it's now into development, or do you keep exploring?
I don't think we keep purely exploring. There may be a few obvious things we might want to look at, just to make it even more appealing. But I think the primary goal will be, if we were to get that development team in place, would be to tighten up the drilling where it needs to be in the deposit, to take it to the next phase, like a pre-feasibility and an actual reserve report.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's your logical next steps. And then, beyond that, then you're going into your, like I say, feasibilities and, all the background work that goes with that. And that's primarily engineering work. But I mean, I think it'll be fast tracked. I mean, Canada has said they'll support all critical metals, and they're going to push them. So okay. I don't believe there'll be any big, real hurdles beyond your normal sort of progress in terms of, and if people want to look at a new project of scale, very close to us. They can just look down at the Cote deposit with IAMGOLD and Sumitomo. They're getting close to production. They had some issues over COVID, but that was, COVID related. Otherwise, it's progressing along.
Does it take your eye off the ball with the gold deposit? Because it was only 2 weeks ago that, everyone knows I love my gold. And when we talked about your maiden resource estimate for the gold, that was pretty big as well. Do you park that and focus on the nickel, or are you going to do them in conjunction? You're going to do a split? Because these are two quite incredibly large deposits, kind of separate from each other.
Yeah, well, what the gold surprised us in terms of the new area, and what it showed is that we could grow ounces really quickly on this new area. And we have 8 kilometers more of, along strike in this new area. So if we could we added close to 900,000 ounces in that new Sorolla part, and it didn't take that long. So and we have the IP targets, like the geophysics and the geology, all says that it should continue. And if it does in the same manner, then we can add dramatically, like a couple million ounces in short order.
Wow.
Now, we wouldn't, I think we'd have to split the commodities in some way. I don't think you're going to get value for the gold when you've got, this size of a nickel project to develop. So there'll be something worked out, I'm sure, where we'll make sure that the shareholder is going to get full value for both the gold and the nickel. Okay,
great. Good to hear. All right, I'm talking to you 2 weeks after our last chat. I know you're headed towards PDAC in a couple of weeks' time. So, ladies and gentlemen, any of you going up to PDAC, go and say hi to Dale, and you can get even more of a deep dive. But Dale, going into this now, what are the next steps over the next, hopefully I'm not going to talk to you, well, maybe it's a good thing I talk to you in a couple of weeks, maybe post PDAC, but be interesting to see how the PDAC people relate or react to this. But what are the next steps for you? What can you tell shareholders you'll be doing over the next few months?
Well, PDAC is going to be insane for us, I think. We're also doing the pre-PDAC show. It's called the Red Cloud event. So that's a couple days before.
Yep.
So I'm presenting there. Tolga will be there. And then we're going to move over to the PDAC. We'll have a booth. It'll be a very busy booth. There'll be a lot more detail, in terms of the resource and some 3D presentations. We could show, we'll show the pit design and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting booth. We'll have core there as well to look at. So once we get past that, then we'll likely do a small drill program on the gold just to test our theory about whether we can add those ounces quickly.
Yep.
And that would begin probably in April. It'll be a little bit dependent on on the snow melt and the weather here. So we'll work around that, but we'll start on that. But we're already underway as far as talking to corporates, producers, teams that might be interested. So, all those things I was talking about earlier, that's what we'll be doing basically.
So there's a lot of news flow to come. Dale, as always, I like to wrap these things up and just tell us 3 reasons why you think, I'm not sure we even need to go down this road. It's a massive deposit, ladies and gentlemen. What more do you need to know? I think that's all they need to know, isn't it? Potentially third largest nickel deposit in the world.
Bottom line, right? That's the bottom line. We started with a gold deposit. We grew it. Okay. So, and we're going to keep growing it. So you got the gold. We have a market cap of 100 million. So put that against, now measure that against what we have and measure that against peers. let's say like a West Musgrave or something like that. So that'd be number two. And as you said, for the third one is we just put a pin, numbers into one of the largest new nickel deposits ever. What?
I'm only going to ask you this. This is a bit naughty. What do you say to the naysayers out there? Because you did have some naysayers in the beginning, didn't you, Dale? Going, yeah, it's a low grade. What are you doing with that? I'm going to leave the last word to you. What do you say to the naysayers out there? I'm being naughty.
Yeah, well, I can think whatever I want, right? But they're always going to be. That's just the nature of the business. We don't work. I've never met a negative person who's ever discovered anything significant.
So true.
Have you?
No. And somebody else said that to me. I've never met a negative person who's successful.
There you go. And I mean, you need that. You need that to poke holes and to test yourself.
Yeah.
And to test your project. So it's good. And if you believe, and the data is there, the data supports your beliefs. You don't just blindly believe. If the data supports your beliefs, you got to charge ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So, Dale, is this one of the best discoveries that you've made in your whole career?
Oh, it's the best. I've made some pretty good gold discoveries and base metal discoveries. Some that went into production. This I don't know how many times more I can go, but this is by far the best thing we've ever done.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from the managing director, Dale Ginn's mouth. Aston Minerals ASX code is ASO. They've come out with their maiden mineral resource. It's a pretty big one, ladies and gentlemen, so check them out. As always, it's not financial advice. Do your own research and your own homework. They'll be at PDAC if you happen to be up there in Canada. But as Dale also said, stable jurisdiction in Canada. They're in a mining district. This is a massive deposit. I think importantly, it is close to surface. A lot of the other deposits around the world are having to go deeper and deeper to recover the nickel. But this Aston Minerals one, it's the gift that keeps on giving, close to surface. Dale Ginn, Managing Director of Aston, great to see you. Chat to you after PDAC.
You bet.